History has always been a puzzle. Some pieces fit neatly together, while others remain stubbornly out of place, defying every attempt to solve them. Think about it. Even with all our modern technology, cutting-edge research, and centuries of scholarship, there are ancient mysteries that still leave historians scratching their heads. These aren't just gaps in our knowledge, they're full-blown enigmas, riddles carved into the very fabric of time, waiting for someone to crack them open. And today, we're diving deep into 25 of the most baffling, unsolved ancient mysteries that continue to challenge everything we think we know about the past. Picture this: massive stone structures built with precision that rivals modern engineering, yet we have no idea how ancient civilizations pulled it off. Lost cities swallowed by jungles or sand, their stories erased by time. Cryptic symbols and scripts that no one alive today can read, whispering secrets we may never understand. These aren't just historical footnotes, they're haunting reminders of how much we still don't know. What if the answers to these mysteries could rewrite history as we know it? What if the truth is even stranger than anything we've imagined? That's the thrill of this journey. We're not just talking about dusty old artifacts or forgotten legends. We're stepping into the unknown, where every clue could lead to a revelation, and every discovery might upend what we thought was certain. From the eerie disappearance of entire civilizations to ancient technologies that seem impossibly advanced, these mysteries aren't just puzzles for historians, they're invitations for all of us to wonder, to question, and to explore. So grab your metaphorical flashlight, because we're about to venture into the shadows of the past, where the most fascinating secrets are still waiting to be uncovered. Among all the ancient mysteries that captivate our imagination, few have endured like the legend of Atlantis. It all began with the Greek philosopher Plato, who described it around 360 BC in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, an advanced island nation that supposedly thrived around 9,000 years before his time, only to vanish beneath the waves in a single catastrophic day and night. But here's the twist: Plato presented Atlantis as a cautionary tale, a parable about hubris and the wrath of the gods. So was it real, or just a moral lesson wrapped in myth? That's the question historians have argued over for centuries. The search for Atlantis has taken explorers to every corner of the globe, from the sunken ruins near the Greek island of Thera, where a volcanic eruption around 1600 BC wiped out the Minoan civilization, to the remote Azores in the Atlantic, where some believe remnants of a lost city might lie hidden beneath the ocean floor. Others speculate it could have been as far afield as Antarctica or even the Caribbean, fueled by bizarre underwater formations and cryptic ancient maps. Modern technology has only deepened the mystery. Satellite imagery has revealed strange geometric shapes off the coast of Spain, while underwater archaeologists have uncovered submerged structures worldwide that some claim could be fragments of Atlantis. Yet skeptics point out the glaring problem: Plato's Atlantis may have been pure fiction, a storytelling device to illustrate his philosophy. There's no definitive evidence outside his writings, no sunken metropolis with Atlantean inscriptions. But that hasn't stopped the hunt, because the allure of a lost civilization with technology rivaling, or even surpassing, our own is irresistible. From psychic visions to pseudo-scientific theories about crystal energy powering their society, Atlantis has become a cultural touchstone, inspiring everything from Hollywood blockbusters to wild conspiracy theories. The debate isn't just about geography, it's about how history itself is written. If Atlantis existed, it would rewrite everything we know about ancient human achievement. And if it didn't, well, the fact that we're still searching after 2,000 years says something profound about our hunger for mystery, our need to believe there are still grand secrets waiting to be uncovered beneath the waves. If the Atlantis legend leaves you questioning lost civilizations, Wait until you hear about the Voynich Manuscript, a book so perplexing that even the brightest codebreakers and linguists have thrown up their hands in defeat. Dating back to the early 15th century, this mysterious tome is filled with handwritten text in a language no one recognizes, accompanied by surreal illustrations of plants that don't exist, celestial charts with unknown constellations, and naked women bathing in what looks like a network of green pools. It's as if someone plucked this book from another universe and dropped it into medieval Europe. Theories about its origins are as wild as its contents. Some believe it was the work of an alchemist hiding secret knowledge in code, while others suggest it could be an elaborate hoax, though why someone would create such an intricate, beautifully illustrated fake centuries ago remains a mystery. Then there's the more tantalizing possibility that it's written in a lost language or even a constructed cipher so complex that modern cryptographers still can't crack it. And oh, have they tried? From World War II codebreakers to teams of university researchers, everyone from amateur sleuths to the FBI has taken a swing at deciphering it, all failing spectacularly. Even the famed cryptologist William Friedman, who helped break Japan's purple cipher during the war, spent decades obsessing over the Voynich without success. The problem: the text doesn't follow any known linguistic patterns. Statistical analysis shows it has the rhythm of a real language, yet none of the words match anything in recorded history. Recently, artificial intelligence has stepped into the fray. In 2018, a team of Canadian researchers fed the manuscript into an AI system trained on hundreds of languages, hoping it might detect hidden patterns. The results were intriguing. The AI suggested the text could be encoded Hebrew, but translations remained speculative at best. Meanwhile, others argue that the key might lie in the bizarre illustrations, which some interpret as herbal medicine, astronomical guides, or even an alchemical recipe for eternal life. What makes the Voynich Manuscript so endlessly fascinating isn't just its resistance to decoding. It's the way it taunts us with the possibility that someone, centuries ago, knew something profound, something we've since forgotten. Or worse, what if we're staring right at the answer and just can't see it? Until someone finally cracks its code, this enigmatic book remains a reminder that even in our age of information, some secrets refuse to be told. Rising from the grassy plains of southern England like a silent sentinel of the past, Stonehenge has stood for over 4,000 years, yet we still don't fully understand why it was built. This colossal ring of towering stones, some weighing as much as 25 tons, was erected with a precision that defies its ancient origins. The largest of these megaliths, the Sarsen stones, were dragged from quarries over 20 miles away, while the smaller blue stones originated nearly 150 miles away in Wales. How Neolithic people managed this feat without wheels, metal tools, or even draft animals remains one of archaeology's most enduring puzzles. What's even more fascinating is how deliberately Stonehenge is arranged. The monument aligns perfectly with the summer and winter solstices. During the summer solstice, the rising sun shines directly through the monument's entrance and hits the heel stone, casting a beam that illuminates the central altar. This alignment isn't random. It suggests Stonehenge functioned as a giant celestial calendar, tracking the seasons with astonishing accuracy. Some researchers believe it was used to predict eclipses or mark important agricultural dates, turning the landscape into a sacred clock. But astronomy isn't the only theory. Excavations have uncovered human remains buried at the site, leading some to argue it served as a vast cemetery for elite members of society. Others propose it was a place of healing, drawing pilgrims who believed the bluestones had magical properties. Then there's the ritualistic angle. Perhaps it was a site for ceremonies where ancient people gathered to honor gods, celebrate victories, or commune with the dead. The truth might even be a combination of all these purposes, layered over centuries of use. The real enigma, though, lies in the logistics. How did prehistoric people transport those enormous stones across such vast distances? Experiments using replica sledges and ropes suggest it would have taken hundreds of workers' weeks to move just one stone, battling uneven terrain and unpredictable weather. Some speculate they might have used wooden rollers or even floated the blue stones on rafts along rivers, but no definitive evidence confirms either method. And why go to such extraordinary lengths in the first place? The effort implies Stonehenge held profound significance, something so vital that generations dedicated their lives to its construction. Modern technology has peeled back some layers of mystery. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed hidden pits and pathways, suggesting Stonehenge was just one part of a much larger ceremonial landscape. Yet with every discovery come new questions. Was it a temple, a tomb, or an ancient observatory? The answer might be all three or none. What's certain is that Stonehenge refuses to give up its secrets easily, standing as a silent witness to a time when humans looked to the stones and the stars to make sense of their world. Stretching across the arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca Lines form one of the planet's most mesmerizing and enigmatic artworks, gigantic geoglyphs etched into the desert floor so vast they can only be fully appreciated from the air. These precise designs, some stretching over 600 feet long, depict animals like hummingbirds, spiders, and monkeys, alongside geometric shapes and straight lines that run for miles without deviation. Created between 500 BC and 500 CE by the ancient Nazca culture, their purpose remains as elusive as the methods used to craft them with such astonishing accuracy. How did a civilization without flight or advanced surveying tools create these enormous, perfectly proportioned images? The answer lies in a deceptively simple technique. The Nazca people scraped away the dark, iron oxide-coated pebbles covering the desert, revealing the lighter sand beneath. The dry climate and stable winds preserved their work for centuries, but the real mystery isn't just how they made them, it's why. Some researchers argue the lines served as sacred pathways for rituals, possibly linked to water worship in this brutally dry region. Others propose they functioned as an astronomical calendar, aligning with solstices or celestial events to guide agricultural cycles. Then there are the fringe theories that ignite imaginations worldwide. Could these lines have been landing strips for extraterrestrial visitors, as some mid-20th century enthusiasts claimed? Or perhaps they were part of a vast, forgotten communication system, visible only to gods or beings high above? While mainstream archaeology dismisses these ideas, the sheer scale and precision of the Nazca Lines keep speculation alive. After all, their creators left no written records, only these cryptic drawings that seem to shout across time without saying a word. Modern technology has deepened both understanding and intrigue. Drone surveys and satellite imagery have uncovered hundreds of previously unknown lines and figures, revealing an even more complex network than we once thought. Yet each discovery raises new questions. Why did they choose these specific designs? How did they maintain such geometric perfection over vast distances without modern tools? The Nazca Lines aren't just relics, they're a conversation without a translation, a puzzle where every answer leads to two more questions, and as long as they endure, they'll keep challenging us to look closer, think deeper, and wonder what secrets still lie hidden beneath the dust of centuries. Discovered in a 2,000-year-old shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island Antikythera in 1901, this corroded bronze artifact didn't look like much at first, just a lump of rusted gears stuck together by centuries underwater. But when archaeologists carefully examined it, they realized they'd stumbled upon something extraordinary. The Antikythera Mechanism, an intricate hand-powered device so advanced that it wouldn't be matched for over 1,000 years. Often called the world's first analog computer, this marvel of ancient engineering could predict lunar and solar eclipses, track the cycles of the Olympic Games, and even model the irregular orbit of the moon with pinpoint accuracy. What makes the Antikythera Mechanism truly mind-bending is its complexity. Using a system of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears, some with teeth cut at precise angles, It replicated the motions of the cosmos with a sophistication that wouldn't reappear in clockwork mechanisms until the 14th century. Scientists using modern X-ray technology have reconstructed its inner workings, revealing dials and pointers that displayed the positions of the Sun, Moon, and 5 known planets, along with a celestial calendar that accounted for leap years. This wasn't just a tool for astronomers, it was a masterpiece of mechanical engineering, blending mathematics, metallurgy, and observational science in a way that defies everything we thought we knew about ancient Greek technology. So how did such a device come to exist 2 centuries before the birth of Christ? Some historians argue it might have been the work of geniuses like Archimedes or Hipparchus, whose lost writings hinted at similarly advanced inventions. Others speculated originated in the legendary workshops of Rhodes, where artisans pushed the boundaries of mechanics and astronomy. But here's the haunting question. If this was just one surviving artifact, how much more knowledge was lost? The ship carrying it likely sank while transporting looted Greek treasures to Rome, meaning there could have been other devices like it, perhaps even more advanced, that vanished beneath the waves or crumbled into dust. The Antikythera Mechanism forces us to rethink the trajectory of human innovation. Was it a fluke, a lone spark of brilliance in an otherwise simpler technological era? Or does it hint at a forgotten golden age of scientific achievement, where ancient scholars understood far more than we've given them credit for? Every gear, every engraved glyph on its surface whispers the same unsettling possibility, that history's timeline might be missing chapters, and that our ancestors were capable of wonders we're only beginning to rediscover. The Great Pyramid of Giza has stood for over 4,500 years, yet it's still revealing secrets hidden within its limestone walls. In 2017, a team of scientists using cutting-edge muon tomography, a technique that scans structures by tracking cosmic rays, discovered a massive, previously unknown void deep inside the pyramid. Dubbed the Big Void, this space measures nearly 100 feet long and sits just above the Grand Gallery, one of the pyramid's most iconic passageways. The find sent shockwaves through archaeology, because if there's one thing we thought we knew about the pyramids, it's that we'd mapped every inch of them. Clearly, we were wrong. So what exactly is this hidden chamber? Theories range from the practical to the fantastical. Some experts argue it's simply a structural relief space designed to reduce pressure on the Grand Gallery below, an architectural trick to prevent collapse under the pyramid's immense weight. Others suggest it could be an undiscovered burial chamber, perhaps even the true resting place of Pharaoh Khufu, whose mummy has never been found despite the pyramid being built as his tomb. Then there are the more tantalizing possibilities. Could it hold ancient records or artifacts, a time capsule of lost knowledge from one of history's most advanced civilizations? The void's precise alignment and size suggest it wasn't accidental, fueling speculation that its purpose was anything but mundane. The debate has only intensified with more recent scans. In 2023, researchers used enhanced muon imaging to reveal yet another corridor-like space near the pyramid's original entrance, hidden behind a chevron-shaped limestone block. These discoveries have reignited discussions about how much of the pyramid remains unexplored and whether we've underestimated the sophistication of its design. After all, this isn't just a pile of rocks. It's a structure so precisely engineered that its sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, and its dimensions encode mathematical constants like pi. If the ancient Egyptians went to such lengths, why wouldn't they hide something extraordinary in these newly found spaces? But here's the catch: getting inside isn't simple. Modern archaeology prioritizes preservation over intrusion, meaning drilling or blasting through walls isn't an option. Teams have proposed using tiny, camera-equipped robots to explore narrow shafts, but even that comes with risks. Meanwhile, skeptics caution against overhyping the voids until physical evidence confirms their purpose. They could just be empty gaps, architectural quirks with no deeper significance. Yet that's the thrill of the mystery, the possibility that behind one of those ancient stones lies a revelation that could rewrite history. Whether it's a structural necessity or a vault of forgotten wisdom, the Great Pyramid is reminding us that even the most studied monuments on Earth still have stories left to tell. Buried in the dusty archives of the National Museum of Iraq lies an unassuming clay jar that shouldn't exist, not in ancient Mesopotamia at least. Discovered in 1936 near Baghdad, this 2,000-year-old artifact looks deceptively simple. A 5-inch tall vase containing a copper cylinder housing an iron rod, all sealed with an asphalt plug. But when German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig examined it, he realized it bore a striking resemblance to something far ahead of its time, a primitive battery. If he was right, this meant the Parthians or Sasanians might have harnessed electricity a millennium before the first modern batteries were invented in the 1800s. The Baghdad battery, as it's now known, could generate a small electrical charge when filled with an acidic or alkaline solution like vinegar or lemon juice, enough to produce about 1 volt of electricity. But here's the puzzle: what would ancient people have used it for? One compelling theory suggests electroplating, the process of coating one metal with another using electricity. Artisans in Mesopotamia were known to gild objects with thin layers of gold, and while they typically used mercury-based techniques, could they have stumbled upon electrochemical methods? Experiments replicating the battery have shown it's possible to electroplate small items like a silver statuette, lending credence to this idea. Then there's the spiritual angle. Some scholars propose these jars weren't practical tools but ritual objects, designed to deliver mild shocks during religious ceremonies. Imagine a priest handing the charged jar to a worshipper, invoking the divine through an otherworldly tingling sensation, a tangible connection to the gods. Ancient texts describe mystical experiences involving heavenly fire, which could hint at early encounters with controlled electricity. Yet skeptics argue the battery's design might have been purely coincidental. Could it have been a storage vessel for sacred scrolls, with the iron rod merely acting as a rust-resistant spindle? Without explicit records or multiple identical finds, the mystery persists. Modern replicas prove the design works, but absence of electroplated artifacts from the period leaves room for doubt. What makes the Baghdad battery so captivating isn't just the question of its purpose, it's the unsettling possibility that ancient civilizations toyed with scientific concepts we thought were beyond their grasp. Whether it powered forgotten workshops or sacred rites, this humble jar forces us to reconsider the narrative of human innovation. After all, history isn't just about what we've found, it's about what we've overlooked. In the late 16th century, England made its first serious attempt to establish a permanent colony in the New World, a settlement on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what's now North Carolina. But when a resupply ship arrived in 1590, the entire colony had vanished without a trace. 115 men, women, and children were simply gone, leaving behind nothing but the word Croatoan carved into a wooden post and crow etched into a nearby tree. It was as if the earth had swallowed them whole, sparking a mystery that still haunts historians today. John White, the colony's governor, had left Roanoke 3 years earlier to secure more supplies from England. But when he returned, he found the settlement eerily abandoned, no signs of struggle, no graves, just empty houses dismantled in an orderly fashion. The cryptic carvings pointed to Croatoan Island, home of a Native American tribe allied with the settlers, yet searches there revealed no definitive evidence. Some believe the colonists integrated with the tribe to survive, a theory supported by later reports of English-speaking Native Americans and fair-skinned children among the Croatoan people. Others argue they fell victim to hostile tribes, Spanish raiders, or disease, their bodies lost to time in the unforgiving wilderness. Then there are the darker theories. Some speculate the settlers attempted to sail back to England on their own and perished at sea, while others suggest they were abducted or massacred by rival factions. A handful of wilder ideas even propose supernatural explanations, fueled by local legends of ghostly figures near the vanished colony. But the most compelling clue might come from a 50-year-old map. In 2012, researchers examining John White's original watercolor maps discovered a hidden patch, a tiny, symbolic fort drawn over what's now modern-day Bertie County, 50 miles inland. Could this mark a second location where the colonists relocated before disaster struck? Excavations there have uncovered European artifacts from the right era, but no smoking gun. The fate of Roanoke isn't just a historical whodunit. It's a cautionary tale about the fragility of early colonialism and the gaps in our understanding of this era. Every artifact, every record scrutinized offers another piece of the puzzle, yet the full picture remains frustratingly out of reach. Whether they merged with the Croatoan, met a grim end, or ventured further into the unknown, these settlers left behind a legacy of questions. And until someone uncovers irrefutable proof, their disappearance will remain one of America's oldest and most tantalizing unsolved mysteries. Among the ancient texts discovered near the Dead Sea, one stands out not for its spiritual wisdom, but for what it promises: actual, tangible treasure. Known as the Copper Scroll, this 2,000-year-old document isn't made of fragile parchment like the other Dead Sea Scrolls. Instead, it's etched onto thin sheets of copper, as if the creators wanted its message to endure. And what a message it is: a detailed inventory of hidden gold and silver, listing 64 caches of treasure scattered across the Judean wilderness. We're talking about vast sums, tons of precious metals, sacred vessels, and even priestly robes, all allegedly buried in secret locations. The problem: no one's ever found a single ounce of it. Deciphering the Copper Scroll is like trying to follow a treasure map where half the landmarks have vanished. Its instructions are maddeningly vague, referencing long-lost structures, ancient olive trees, and cisterns that may no longer exist. One entry directs seekers to the Solomonic Canal, a feature modern archaeologists can't even identify. Another mentions a hiding spot beneath the staircase of the refuge, but what refuge? Where even the language is cryptic, written in a unique dialect of Hebrew, with odd Greek letters sprinkled in, as if the authors were deliberately obscuring their meaning. Of course, that hasn't stopped treasure hunters from trying. Expeditions have scoured the hills around Qumran, the caves near Jericho, and the ruins of ancient Jerusalem, armed with shovels, metal detectors, and even satellite imagery. Some believe the treasure belonged to the Jewish temple before its destruction in 70 CE, hidden to protect it from Roman looters. Others argue it might be the accumulated wealth of a secretive sect like the Essenes, who penned the other Dead Sea Scrolls. But the most tantalizing theory, that the scroll isn't literal, that its treasure was symbolic, referring to spiritual riches rather than physical gold. Modern technology has brought new hope to the hunt. Ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR scans, and drone surveys have mapped the terrain with unprecedented precision, revealing hidden chambers and tunnels that match some of the scroll's descriptions. In 2006, archaeologists used 3D imaging to explore a cave near the Dead Sea, uncovering pottery and cloth that might align with the scroll's timeline, but no treasure. The challenge isn't just technical, it's political. Many suspected locations lie in disputed territories, making excavation fraught with logistical and diplomatic hurdles. The Copper Scroll's enduring allure isn't just about the potential wealth, it's about the thrill of the unsolved. Could those ancient tunnels still hold piles of silver ingots untouched for millennia? Or was this all an elaborate riddle, a test of faith rather than a call to dig? Until someone strikes literal gold, the scroll remains a tantalizing what if, a reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures aren't the ones we find, but the mysteries that keep us searching. Along the windswept coast of Brittany in northwestern France, an army of ancient stones stands in eerie, perfectly aligned rows 3,000 megaliths stretching over 2.5 miles. Known as the Karnak stones, these towering relics date back to around 4,500 BCE, making them older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza. Yet unlike those famous landmarks, their purpose remains one of Europe's most stubborn archaeological mysteries. Were they celestial calculators, sacred pathways, or something far more unexpected? The stones come in several distinct clusters, some arranged in straight lines, others forming arcs or circles, with the tallest reaching nearly 13 feet high. The precision of their alignment is uncanny. Rows like the Voynich alignments run east-west with mathematical consistency, while others seem to mirror solstice sunrises or lunar cycles. This deliberate arrangement has led many experts to suspect they functioned as a massive astronomical observatory or calendar, helping Neolithic farmers track seasonal changes. But there's a twist. Some researchers argue the stones might have served as an early earthquake detection system. Geological studies reveal the region sits atop fault lines, and the megaliths' positions could have acted as seismic markers, their vibrations signaling underground activity. Then there's the spiritual theory. Local folklore whispers that the stones were once pagan soldiers turned to rock by the wizard Merlin, a poetic explanation, but one that hints at a deeper truth. Archaeologists have found evidence of ritual fires and offerings near the sites, suggesting they were focal points for ceremonies or processions. The way the rows narrow into enclosures at certain points could indicate sacred gathering spaces where communities performed rites tied to the land or sky. Yet despite decades of study, no single theory has claimed dominance. Unlike Egyptian pyramids or Roman temples, the Karnak stones leave no inscriptions, no carvings to decode. Even their construction baffles experts. How did Neolithic people transport and erect these massive stones without metal tools or wheeled carts? Experiments using wooden sledges and ropes suggest it would have taken hundreds of people working in unison, a monumental effort that speaks to the site's immense cultural significance. Modern technology offers tantalizing glimpses into the enigma. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed buried chambers and artifact caches near the stones, while 3D mapping shows subtle patterns invisible to the naked eye. But every discovery seems to raise new questions rather than provide answers. Were the stones part of a vast ceremonial landscape connecting Earth to cosmos? Or do they encode knowledge we've yet to decipher? What makes Karnak uniquely haunting is its scale. Standing among those rows feels like stepping into a silent, open-air cathedral built by giants. Unlike solitary monuments, it's a sprawling puzzle without edges, where each stone might hold a clue to a world you lost to time. Until someone uncovers definitive proof, these megaliths will keep their secrets, standing guard over a past we can only imagine. In the year 1929, a team of historians sorting through the archives of Istanbul's Topkapi Palace stumbled upon something extraordinary, a fragment of a world map drawn on gazelle skin in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. At first glance, it seemed like any other early Renaissance map, coastlines sketched in ink, ships dancing across painted waves. But when scholars looked closer, they realized this wasn't just a navigational aid, it was a cartographic bombshell. The Piri Reis map depicted parts of the world no European or Ottoman explorer could have known in the 16th century, including the coastline of Antarctica, a continent that wouldn't be officially discovered for another 300 years. Even more baffling, it showed Antarctica not as the icy wasteland we know today, but as a land free of ice, its rivers and mountains clearly visible. How could a 16th century mapmaker have known what lay beneath 2 miles of polar ice? Features modern scientists only confirmed with sonar in the 20th century. Piri Reis himself claimed his work was based on older source maps, some dating back to the 4th century BC or even earlier. He cited charts from the time of Alexander the Great, lost libraries of Alexandria, and fragments of knowledge passed down through generations of seafarers. This raises a spine-tingling possibility. Could the map preserve traces of an advanced ancient civilization, one that explored or even mapped the world long before recorded history? Skeptics argue there's a simpler explanation. Some suggest that Antarctica on the map might actually be a distorted version of South America, a coastline Europeans were just beginning to chart. Others propose Piri Reis pieced together speculative geography from sailors' tales or misinterpreted older documents. But here's the problem. The map's rendering of Antarctica's Queen Maud Land matches modern subglacial topography with eerie accuracy, including mountain ranges buried under millennia of ice. Unless it's a staggering coincidence someone somewhere had knowledge they shouldn't have possessed, theories about the map's origins range from the plausible to the fantastical. Could it be evidence of a pre-glacial civilization like the hypothetical Atlanteans who mapped the world before the last ice age? Or does it hint at lost exploration by cultures like the Minoans or Phoenicians, whose seafaring prowess we've long underestimated? Then there's the more controversial idea that ancient peoples had access to aerial or even satellite-like surveying techniques, a notion that fuels wild speculation about extraterrestrial influence or forgotten high technology. Modern science hasn't settled the debate. Geologists confirm Antarctica was last ice-free around 4000 BC, long before any known civilization could have mapped it. Yet the map's existence forces us to confront uncomfortable gaps in history. Were there advanced maritime cultures lost to time, their achievements erased by rising seas or cataclysms? Or did Piri Reis somehow synthesize scattered clues into a miraculously accurate guess? What makes the Piri Reis map so enthralling isn't just its anomalies, it's the reminder that history is a puzzle missing half its pieces. For every documented voyage, there might have been a dozen unrecorded journeys. For every known explorer, countless others could have ventured into the unknown, leaving only faint traces behind, until someone unearths definitive proof of who really mapped Antarctica first. This 16th century enigma will keep challenging everything we think we know about the past and the daring souls who tried to chart it. Deep in the arid deserts of China's Xinjiang region lies one of history's most startling contradictions: ancient mummies with striking European features, preserved for millennia in the scorching sands. Discovered in the Tarim Basin, these remarkably intact bodies date back as far as 1800 BCE. Their fair hair, high cheekbones, and woven wool garments looking more like Bronze Age Celts than the ancestors of modern East Asians. Their existence flips conventional narratives of ancient migration on their head, forcing historians to ask, how did a group with such distinctly Western features end up thousands of miles from Europe, buried in the heart of Asia? Genetic testing has only deepened the mystery. DNA analysis reveals these individuals weren't just passing travelers, they were part of a settled, thriving culture with roots stretching back to the Black Sea region. Their ancestry links them to the Yamnaya people, nomadic herders who roamed the Eurasian steppes, yet there's no evidence of violence or conquest in their burial sites. Instead, the mummies were laid to rest with care, surrounded by intricate textiles, carved masks, and even cheese placed as offerings, proof of a sophisticated society that blended Eastern and Western traditions long before the Silk Road connected these worlds. The most compelling clue to their identity might lie in their language. Scholars believe they could be the Tocharians, a mysterious Indo-European people mentioned in fragmented Chinese texts as the Yuezhi. Tocharian manuscripts discovered in the region, written in a script derived from Sanskrit, describe a society of merchants and monks who worshipped deities resembling those of ancient Greece and Persia. But here's the twist: the Tarim mummies predate these texts by centuries, meaning they might represent an even earlier wave of migration, a lost branch of the Indo-European family that ventured eastward when the deserts were still green. What's truly revolutionary about these mummies isn't just their origin, it's what they reveal about prehistoric globalization. Their clothing, woven from sheep's wool in patterns identical to those found in Celtic burials, suggests trade networks spanning continents. The preserved cheese in their tombs, made using techniques still used in Europe today, hints at shared culinary traditions across unimaginable distances. Even their burial practices, placing boats in the desert, far from any water, echo Norse and Viking funeral rites. Yet the biggest question remains: why did they disappear? By the time the Han dynasty rose to power around 200 BC, the Tocharians had vanished, assimilated or displaced by waves of newcomers. Their legacy lingers only in faint traces, a few loanwords in Chinese, the echoes of their hymns in Buddhist caves, and of course, those hauntingly preserved faces gazing up from the sands. The Tarim mummies are more than archaeological curiosities. They're a reminder that the ancient world was far more interconnected than we ever imagined, and that history's borders were never as rigid as our textbooks suggest. High above the modern city of Cusco, Peru, the massive stone walls of Sacsayhuaman rise like a fortress from another age. These aren't just ordinary ruins. Each block is a masterpiece of engineering, some weighing over 100 tons, cut and fitted together so precisely that not even a razor blade can slide between them. No mortar holds them in place, yet they've withstood earthquakes, invasions, and centuries of weathering without shifting an inch. The question isn't just how they were built, but who built them, and whether the Incas, who claimed the site as their own, were the true architects or merely inheritors of something far older and more mysterious. The Incas certainly left their mark here. Spanish chroniclers wrote that Sacsayhuaman served as both a ceremonial center and a military stronghold, its zigzagging walls symbolizing the lightning bolts of their sun god Inti. But the more you examine the stones, the stranger the story becomes. Many blocks feature intricate, interlocking shapes with rounded edges and asymmetrical angles, a technique so advanced that modern engineers struggle to replicate it without computer-guided tools. Some stones have as many as 12 perfectly matched facets, fitting into their neighbors like pieces of a three-dimensional puzzle. This isn't just stacking rocks, it's stonework on a level that defies the tools historians say the Incas possessed. That's where the mystery deepens. Local legends speak of a time before the Incas, when a race of giants or demigods shaped stone with supernatural ease. Could these stories hint at an even older civilization, one with technology or knowledge lost to time? Researchers have noted similarities between Sacsayhuaman and other megalithic sites like Puma Punku in Bolivia or the pyramids of Egypt, places where ancient builders seem to have mastered stone with uncanny precision. Some theorists suggest the use of sound waves, heat-based softening techniques, or even advanced machinery, though no direct evidence supports these claims. Yet the most compelling counterargument comes from the Incas themselves. Recent experiments using simple tools like wooden rollers, bronze chisels, and abrasives have shown that, given enough time and labor, these feats might be possible through sheer patience and skill. The Incas were master stonemasons after all, and their surviving structures like Machu Picchu show similar, if less extreme, craftsmanship. But why would they use such impractical, time-consuming methods when simpler alternatives existed? Unless, of course, they were replicating an older style they revered but didn't fully understand. The debate isn't just academic, it's a clash of worldviews. If the Incas built Sacsayhuaman, it reshapes our understanding of their technological prowess. If someone else did, it rewrites the timeline of Andean civilization entirely. Modern archaeology leans toward the Inca explanation, but the lingering anomalies keep the door open. Laser scans have revealed hidden chambers beneath the site, and unusual mineral deposits on some stones hint at possible artificial treatments lost to history. Standing before these walls, it's impossible not to feel the weight of the unanswered. Whether the work of Inca artisans or a forgotten culture, Sacsayhuaman remains a testament to human ingenuity, or perhaps something beyond it. Every perfectly placed stone whispers the same tantalizing question: how much do we really know about the hands that shaped our world? Scattered across the remote highlands of Laos, an eerie landscape stretches for miles. Thousands of colossal stone jars, some standing taller than a person, others lying broken like forgotten giants. Known as the Plain of Jars, this archaeological marvel dates back over 2,000 years, yet its purpose remains as enigmatic as the people who carved these massive vessels from solid rock. Ranging from 3 to 10 feet in height and weighing up to several tons each, the jars cluster in groups of a few dozen to hundreds, their edges worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain. The real mystery isn't just their size or number, it's why they are here at all. The most widely accepted theory suggests these jars were funerary urns used to hold the remains of the dead. Excavations have uncovered human bones, burial goods, and ceramic fragments inside and around them, hinting at a ritualistic connection to the afterlife. Some researchers propose they might have served as secondary burial vessels, where bodies were left to decompose before bones were collected and stored. But there's a twist: not all jars contain human remains. A few hold artifacts like glass beads or iron tools, while others are completely empty, raising doubts about a purely mortuary function. Then there's the fermentation theory. Local legends speak of an ancient race of giants who brewed rice wine in these jars to celebrate victorious battles. While this might sound like folklore, ethnographic studies reveal that similar giant jars in neighboring cultures were indeed used for fermenting alcohol or storing grain. Could the Plain of Jars have been a communal brewery or a granary on an industrial scale? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it seems. Some jars still have stone lids, which would align with sealing perishables rather than sealing the dead. But perhaps the most haunting aspect of this site isn't its origins, it's the danger lurking beneath it. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. dropped over 270 million cluster bombs on Laos, turning the region into the most heavily bombed place in history per capita. Many of these explosives never detonated, leaving the Plain of Jars littered with unexploded ordnance. To this day, vast sections remain inaccessible to archaeologists, who must rely on painstaking clearance efforts before any new excavation can begin. It's a tragic irony. The bombs that concealed these ancient relics might also be the only reason they've survived untouched by looters or careless tourism. Modern technology offers glimmers of hope. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed hidden burial pits and underground chambers near the jars, while chemical analysis of sediment inside them could soon confirm whether they once held organic matter like wine or decomposing bodies. Yet even with these tools, fundamental questions persist. Who were the people who carved these monoliths? Why did they choose such an elaborate and labor-intensive method for rituals or storage? And why did they vanish, leaving no written records or oral histories to explain their work? The Plain of Jars stands as a testament to human ingenuity and to how quickly knowledge can be lost to time. Whether they were tombs, breweries, or something we haven't even considered, these silent stone sentinels guard their secrets fiercely. And until the last bomb is cleared and the last jar examined, they'll continue to challenge our understanding of Southeast Asia's ancient past. Buried in the soil of Japan for thousands of years, the Dogu figurines emerge as one of prehistory's most captivating enigmas: small, humanoid clay statues with exaggerated features that look uncannily like ancient astronauts or otherworldly deities. Dating back to the Jomon period, around 14,000 to 300 BCE, these intricate artifacts range from palm-sized trinkets to foot-tall masterpieces, their bulbous eyes, slim waists, and geometric patterns etched with a precision that defies their Neolithic origins. But what makes them truly mesmerizing isn't just their bizarre appearance, it's the unanswered question pulsing beneath their clay surfaces. Were they sacred talismans, ritual objects, or something far stranger? The most striking Dogu share a recurring motif: goggle-like eyes, heart-shaped faces, and bodies adorned with swirling patterns resembling tattoos or ceremonial garb. Many appear female, with wide hips and prominent breasts, leading scholars to theorize they were fertility symbols or representations of a mother goddess central to German spirituality. Fragments of these figurines are often found deliberately broken, as if ritually killed to release spiritual energy or ward off misfortune. Some bear what looks like deliberate damage to the chest or abdomen, suggesting they might have been used in healing rituals, perhaps sympathetic magic to cure ailments in corresponding body parts. But then there's the extraterrestrial twist. Their oversized hollow eyes and helmet-like heads have fueled wild speculation that the Dogu depict ancient encounters with beings from beyond Earth, an idea popularized by mid-20th century UFO enthusiasts. While mainstream archaeology dismisses this as fantasy, the figurine's surreal designs undeniably evoke something other. Could they represent shamanic visions, trance-induced glimpses of spirit worlds? Or are they stylized portraits of German people wearing ritual masks, their exaggerated features meant to convey altered states of consciousness? Modern excavations add layers to the mystery. Recent discoveries in northern Honshu reveal Dogu buried alongside shell bracelets and lacquered cups, hinting at their role in elite burial practices. Chemical analysis of the clay traces their origins to specific riverbeds, suggesting they were traded across vast distances as sacred objects. Yet for all we've uncovered, the Dogu refuse to surrender their core secret. No written records from the German survive, leaving their creators' intentions frozen in silence. Perhaps the most haunting possibility is that these figurines weren't depictions of gods or visitors, but vessels. Some scholars argue their hollow bodies could have held symbolic offerings, grains, ash, or even the breath of a shaman, transforming them into containers for the intangible. Standing before a Dogu today, you're left with the eerie sense that you're not just looking at art, but at a doorway to a worldview where the lines between human, spirit, and cosmos blurred, and where clay could hold the weight of the unseen. Beneath the quiet farmland of Zhejiang province in China, an underground world of staggering scale and precision lies hidden: the Longyu Caves. Discovered by accident in 1992 when a curious villager drained a local pond, these hand-carved caverns stretch across 30,000 square meters, their walls and ceilings smoothed to a mirror-like finish with chisel marks so uniform they appear machined. But here's what defies explanation. Despite their grandeur, not a single historical record, folk tale, or even passing mention of these caves exists in China's meticulously documented past. It's as if the people who built them vanished into thin air, taking their secrets with them. Step inside one of these caverns, and the sheer ambition of the project becomes overwhelming. The ceilings arch 20 to 30 meters high, supported by massive pillars left in place during excavation, pillars spaced with mathematical precision to distribute weight evenly. The walls bear parallel grooves running in perfect unison, suggesting the builders used a standardized technique, yet no tools or debris from their construction have ever been found. Even more baffling is the acoustics. Strike a wall and the sound reverberates in eerie, bell-like tones, a phenomenon that couldn't have been accidental. Were these caves designed as resonant chambers for rituals, or is the sonic effect an unintended consequence of their shape? Theories about their purpose range from the pragmatic to the fantastical. Some scholars argue they were quarries, mined for the high-quality sandstone used in nearby structures. But why carve with such decorative precision if the goal was merely extraction? Others propose they served as imperial storehouses or military bunkers, yet no artifacts or evidence of occupation have surfaced. Then there are the more esoteric interpretations. Could they have been sacred spaces for forgotten ceremonies, their echoing walls amplifying chants or drumbeats? Local legends whisper of dragons and underworld kingdoms, but these myths offer no concrete clues. Perhaps the greatest mystery lies in the logistics. Carbon dating places the cave's construction around 2,000 years ago during the Western Han Dynasty. But carving this complex by hand would have required thousands of workers laboring for decades, removing an estimated 1 million cubic meters of stone, all without leaving a trace in China's extensive historical archives. How could such a monumental project simply slip through the cracks of history, unless, of course, it was deliberately erased? Modern technology has only deepened the enigma. Laser scans reveal that the angles of the walls and pillars align with celestial events, suggesting possible astronomical significance. Meanwhile, engineers note the cave's structural stability. Their arched ceilings and strategic pillar placement mirror principles modern architects used to prevent collapse. How did ancient laborers achieve this without blueprints or the mathematics developed centuries later? The Longyu caves stand as a testament to human ingenuity and to how easily knowledge can disappear. Whether they were royal projects, spiritual sanctuaries, or something beyond our understanding, their silent halls challenge our assumptions about ancient technology and the reliability of recorded history. Until someone unearths a scroll or artifact that breaks the silence, these shadowy chambers will keep their secrets, reminding us that the past isn't always as written sometimes. It's carved in stone, waiting for the right light to reveal its truth. In the quiet farmland of Elbert County, Georgia, a cluster of towering granite slabs once loomed over the countryside like a cryptic message from the future. Erected in 1980, the Georgia Guidestones bore 10 commandments engraved in 8 modern languages, along with astrological markings that aligned with the sun and stars. But these weren't ancient relics, they were a modern-day mystery commissioned by an anonymous group under the pseudonym R.C. Christian, whose true identity remains unknown to this day. The stone's instructions read like a survival manual for a post-apocalyptic world. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely. Unite humanity with a living new language. Who wrote these ominous directives, and were they meant as a warning, a blueprint, or something darker? The Guidestones' origins are as murky as their message. The only clue left behind was a local banker named Wyatt Martin, who claimed to represent the mysterious Christian during construction. Martin swore to secrecy, taking the benefactor's identity to his grave. Conspiracy theories spiraled. Some believed the stones were the work of a secret society like the Rosicrucians, while others suspected a wealthy doomsday prepper or even a government experiment in social engineering. The granite's precision fueled speculation further. Its slots aligned with solstices and equinoxes, and a hole drilled through one slab framed the North Star, suggesting the creators had both astronomical knowledge and a flair for symbolism. For decades, the Guidestones stood as a controversial landmark, drawing pilgrims and protesters alike. Some saw them as a visionary call for sustainability, others branded them elitist or even satanic. Then, in July 2022, everything changed. An explosion rocked the site at dawn, reducing part of the monument to rubble. Hours later, crews demolished the rest for safety reasons, leaving only the foundation. Authorities blamed vandals, but the destruction's timing raised eyebrows. It came just as online conspiracy theories about the stones surged, linking them to globalist agendas and population control. The debris may be gone, but the questions linger. Why choose Georgia, a place with no obvious ties to the monument's themes? Was the destruction an act of ideological erasure, or were the Guidestones always meant to be temporary? Most haunting of all, in an age of digital permanence, why carve warnings in stone unless you believed civilization itself might collapse? The Guidestones' legacy isn't just about the words on the rock. It's about who gets to decide what survives when the future becomes the past. Today, the empty field where they once stood serves as a different kind of monument, a reminder that some mysteries aren't solved, just silenced. Whether the stones were a gift, a hoax, or a prophecy, their absence speaks as loudly as their inscriptions ever did. and somewhere perhaps the real are. See, Christian is still watching, waiting to see if humanity heeds the message or repeats the mistakes the stones warned us about. Stumbling upon a centuries-old corpse with intact hair, skin, and even facial expressions isn't the stuff of horror movies, it's the reality of Europe's bog bodies. These eerily preserved individuals, like Denmark's Toland Man or Ireland's Old Croghan Man, emerge from peat bogs with haunting clarity, their features frozen in time by the unique chemistry of the wetlands. The acidic, oxygen-poor environment tans their skin like leather, while the cold and lack of bacteria slow decay to a near standstill. But what makes these bodies truly chilling isn't just their preservation, it's the grim circumstances of their deaths. Bound hands, slit throats, and crushed skulls tell stories of violence, raising a question that lingers like bog mist. Were these people victims of ritual sacrifice, executed criminals, or honored members of their communities sent to the gods? Forensic science peels back layers of these ancient tragedies with startling precision. Toland Man, for instance, still wears the noose that killed him, its braided leather resting gently against his neck as if he died yesterday. Yet his face is peaceful, almost serene, a detail that clashes with the brutality of his hanging. Stomach analyses reveal his last meal was a simple porridge of barley and flax, eaten 12 to 24 hours before death. No signs of struggle mar his hands, suggesting he went willingly to his end. Meanwhile, Old Croghan Man's story is far grislier. His torso, sliced cleanly in half, bears defensive wounds and a nipple cut with surgical precision. A possible symbolic mutilation tied to kingship rituals in Celtic culture. These details aren't random, they're fingerprints of Iron Age belief systems where death wasn't an end, but a transaction with the divine. The sacrificial theory gains weight when you examine the bogs themselves. To Iron Age peoples, these wetlands were liminal spaces, doorways between worlds, where the veil between the living and the supernatural grew thin. Offerings of weapons, jewelry, and even butter have been pulled from the peat, suggesting bogs were sacred repositories for gifts to the gods. Could the bodies be the ultimate offering? Roman historians like Tacitus describe Germanic tribes executing traitors and cowards in bogs, but also note human sacrifices to Nerthus, an earth goddess. Some bog bodies, like Denmark's Grobel Man, show signs of both ritualistic care, his hair meticulously styled, and extreme violence, his throat slit ear to ear. This duality hints at a complex world, where honor and brutality intertwined, yet not all bog bodies fit the sacrificial mold. The Id girl, a teenager discovered in the Netherlands, was likely killed for a crime. Her stunted spine and crooked teeth suggest she lived with scoliosis, possibly marking her as an outcast. The rope around her neck and the stab wound in her collarbone point to punishment rather than ceremony. Similarly, Winderby Eye, once thought to be a drowned adulteress based on her shaved head, is now believed to be a teenage boy, his death perhaps tied to tribal conflicts. These outliers remind us that the bogs were more than altars. They were dumping grounds, battlefields, and perhaps even resting places for the socially ostracized. What makes these ancient corpses so compelling isn't just the how of their preservation, but the why of their final moments. They force us to confront a time when life was cheap, but the afterlife was priceless, when a bog might serve as both grave and gateway. Every fiber of their clothing, every seed in their stomachs, whispers secrets about fear, faith, and the price of crossing between worlds. As long as peat cutters' shovels unearth their silent forms, we'll keep piecing together their stories, one bone, one berry, one telltale wound at a time. While the Nazca Lines steal much of the spotlight, Bolivia's Sajama lines form the largest network of ancient geoglyphs on Earth, a sprawling web of over 16,000 perfectly straight paths etched across the Altiplano's volcanic plains. Stretching an astonishing 12,000 miles in combined length, these mysterious lines radiate outward from sacred Mount Sajama like threads of a cosmic spiderweb. some running uninterrupted for 12 miles across impossible terrain. Created by the indigenous Karangas people over 3,000 years ago, their sheer scale defies logic. How did pre-Columbian cultures, without aerial vision or modern tools, design and maintain such precise pathways across hundreds of square miles of rugged wilderness? Unlike the pictorial Nazca geoglyphs, the Sajama lines are all about geometry, straight, narrow trenches scraped into the dark desert pavement to expose the lighter earth beneath. Walking these paths today feels like tracing the veins of some colossal organism, each line intersecting with others at crisp angles to form a latticework visible from space. Their purpose remains hotly debated. Some archaeologists argue they were pilgrimage routes, guiding worshippers to mountain shrines where rituals honored Pachamama, the Andean earth goddess. Others propose they functioned as astronomical sightlines, aligning with solstice sunrises or the Southern Cross constellation to mark agricultural cycles in this harsh, high-altitude environment. Then there's the navigation theory. The Altiplano is a maze of shifting salt flats and volcanic outcrops where travelers could easily disorient. The lines, often connecting sacred peaks or water sources, may have served as a prehistoric GPS, a system of visual cues for llama caravans transporting goods across the Andes. Recent LiDAR scans reveal many lines converge at ancient tambos, way station ruins where merchants would have rested. But why invest such colossal effort? The answer might lie beneath the surface. Soil analysis shows the lines coincide with underground water channels, suggesting they could have doubled as ceremonial markers for life-giving aquifers in this parched landscape. What truly sets the Sajama lines apart is their cultural endurance. Where the Nazca culture vanished, leaving their desert art behind, the descendants of the Karangas still maintain these paths today. Local Aymara communities refer to them as Siachokas, or spirit lines, and incorporate them into traditional boundary markings and rituals. Modern mining threatens some sections, yet many remain pristine, protected not by fences but by ancestral reverence. The mystery isn't just about ancient ingenuity, it's about how knowledge persists. These lines aren't relics frozen in time. They're living threads tying past to present, reminding us that some landscapes hold memories deeper than history books can record. Whether paths for pilgrims, maps for merchants, or hymns etched in earth, the Sajama lines whisper a truth we're only beginning to hear, that the desert's silence is an illusion. Every straight, unerring mark is a sentence in a story we've yet to fully read. Held behind bulletproof glass in Turin's cathedral, a single piece of linen measuring 14 feet long has ignited one of history's most heated debates, the Shroud of Turin, believed by millions to be the actual burial cloth of Jesus Christ. Its faint, ghostly image of a crucified man, visible only in photographic negative, shows wounds matching biblical accounts, a crown of thorns, lacerations from scourging, even a spear wound in the side. But is this sacred relic a divine imprint or an elaborate medieval hoax? The answer, much like the shroud itself, is shrouded in controversy. Carbon dating tests in 1988 seem to deliver a decisive blow. Laboratories in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona analyzed tiny samples, concluding the linen dated between 1260 and 1390, squarely in the Middle Ages. Case closed, not quite. Critics immediately pointed to flaws in the methodology. The tested samples came from a rewoven section, possibly repaired after a fire in the 1400s that nearly destroyed the shroud. Later studies noted chemical inconsistencies suggesting the cloth might be far older, its age masked by bacterial contamination or thermal damage from the very fires meant to preserve it. Even more intriguing, pollen grains found on the shroud match species native to Jerusalem, some extinct for millennia, hinting at an origin far older and farther east than medieval Europe. Then there's the enigma of the image itself. No artist's pigments or brushstrokes have ever been detected. Instead, the discoloration penetrates only the topmost fibers, a depth of less than 2 micrometers, as if created by a sudden burst of energy. Scientists have attempted and failed to replicate this effect using medieval techniques. Experiments with ultraviolet radiation, lactic acid from sweat, even volatile gases released by a corpse have all fallen short of matching the shroud's precise, three-dimensional encoding of the image. Some researchers propose a rare phenomenon called the Maillard reaction, where amines from a decomposing body interact with carbohydrates in the cloth, but even this fails to explain the image's photographic-like clarity. The shroud's most haunting detail might be its bloodstains. Spectroscopic analysis reveals hemoglobin and bilirubin, compounds found in traumatic injury, and the stains fluoresce under ultraviolet light, a property unique to blood. Even stranger, the blood appears to have flowed before the image formed, as if the body left its mark first, then its shadow. Medieval forgers couldn't have known such forensic nuances, let alone replicated them. Perhaps the most compelling argument for authenticity lies in what we still can't explain. The image carries encoded distance information like an early hologram, with darker tones corresponding to areas that would have been closer to the cloth, a feature incomprehensible before modern imaging science. Meanwhile, the weave of the linen matches first-century Palestinian textiles, not medieval European ones. For every claim of forgery, another anomaly emerges, deepening the mystery. Whether divine artifact or inexplicable masterpiece, the Shroud of Turin refuses to surrender its secrets easily. It stands as a mirror, reflecting not just the face of a possible messiah, but our own relentless hunger to reconcile faith with fact. Until science can conclusively prove or disprove its origins, this ancient cloth will remain suspended between two worlds, a testament to the unknown and to the lengths we'll go to believe. Standing like silent sentinels on the wind-scoured slopes of Easter Island, the Moai are more than just statues. They're monuments to a civilization's ambition and perhaps its unraveling. Carved from compressed volcanic ash between the 13th and 16th centuries, these towering figures average 13 feet tall and weigh a staggering 14 tons each, with the largest unfinished colossus stretching 70 feet and tipping the scales at 270 tons. Their hollow-eyed gaze, once fixed inland to watch over Rapa Nui villages, holds clues to one of archaeology's most haunting questions. How did a people without wheels or metal tools transport these behemoths across miles of rugged terrain? And why, in the end, did they stop? Theories about how the Moai moved have evolved from the fantastical to the surprisingly practical. Early European visitors speculated the statues were dragged on logs, a plausible idea given the island's once lush palm forests. But recent experiments by archaeologists like Terry Hunt and Carl Lipo suggest a more elegant solution. The Moai might have walked. Using ropes to rock the statues side to side, teams could have maneuvered them upright in a dynamic shuffle, leaving distinct wear patterns at their bases that match grooves found along ancient roads. This method, captured in a viral National Geographic demonstration, would explain oral traditions describing the statues moving with mana or spiritual power. Yet not everyone's convinced. Opponents argue the road's uneven terrain and sharp inclines make rocking impossible for larger Moai, pointing to sledges or log rollers as more likely alternatives. But the Moai weren't just engineering feats, they were the heartbeat of Rapa Nui society. Far from idle monuments, they served as conduits between the living and the dead, their backs to the sea as if shielding communities from unseen threats. Each statue represented a deified ancestor, their presence believed to channel protective energy into the land. The red stone topknots or pukao, balanced atop some heads, might symbolize chieftain status or sacred hair knots, though their installation remains another logistical puzzle. This spiritual industrial complex demanded staggering resources: food for workers, timber for transport, and basalt tools to carve the stone, which raises the darker question: did this very devotion spell the island's downfall? For decades, the dominant narrative blamed the Rapa Nui people for ecological collapse, a cautionary tale of deforestation and hubris. By stripping the island of palms to move Maui, the theory goes, they triggered soil erosion, crop failure, and eventual societal cannibalism. But newer research paints a more nuanced picture. Pollen studies reveal the palm decline began centuries before the statues, possibly due to Polynesian rats gnawing seeds. And while warfare did erupt, many Maui were toppled face down, a symbolic killing of rival clans' ancestors. The coup de grace came from elsewhere, European contact. Slave raids in the 1800s decimated the population, while introduced diseases and livestock finished what the rats started. The Maui's true legacy isn't one of failure but resilience. Modern Rapa Nui people still revere them as family, not relics. In 2012, a local clan successfully raised a replica Maui using traditional methods, proving their ancestors' ingenuity wasn't lost, just waiting to be remembered. These stone giants aren't tombstones for a doomed culture. They're testament to the human capacity to create, adapt, and endure even when the world turns against you. And perhaps that's the lesson etched into their weathered faces. Civilizations don't collapse from ambition alone, but from the storms they never saw coming. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon have long been celebrated as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, a lush, terraced paradise of exotic plants and cascading water, built by King Nebuchadnezzar II to soothe his homesick queen. Yet for all their fame, archaeologists have never found a single stone, inscription, or irrigation system in Babylon to prove they existed. This absence has sparked a tantalizing debate. Were the gardens pure myth, or could they have been real, just not where we've been looking? Babylon's ruins, meticulously excavated in modern-day Iraq, reveal a city of staggering grandeur, ziggurats, palaces, and massive walls that match ancient descriptions. But nowhere do these digs uncover traces of the garden's famed tiered structure or the sophisticated hydraulic systems needed to water them in the arid Mesopotamian climate. Even cuneiform tablets from Nebuchadnezzar's reign, which painstakingly detail his building projects, omit any mention of this botanical marvel. Could Greek historians like Strabo and Diodorus Siculus, who described the gardens centuries later, have conflated Babylon with another, greener city? That's when Nineveh enters the picture. Assyrian records boast of King Sennacherib's sprawling gardens in the 7th century BCE, complete with an ingenious network of aqueducts and screw pumps to carry water from mountain springs. One inscription even brags of a wonder for all peoples, with aromatic trees and vines dangling over terraces eerily similar to the Hanging Gardens description. Archaeologists have uncovered remnants of Sennacherib's aqueduct at Jerwan, a feat of engineering that could have sustained such a paradise. Even the location fits better. Nineveh's cooler, rain-fed highlands were far more hospitable to lush gardens than Babylon's sweltering plains. But if the gardens were Assyrian, how did Babylon steal the credit, blame the fog of history? After Assyria's fall, Babylon rose as the region's cultural powerhouse, its name synonymous with grandeur. Greek scholars writing centuries later might have shifted the tale westward, attaching it to the more legendary city. Alternatively, could Nebuchadnezzar have built a smaller garden that paled next to Sennacherib's, leaving too faint a trace for modern detection? The mystery endures because it challenges how we reconstruct the past from fragments. Whether the gardens bloomed in Babylon, Nineveh, or nowhere at all, their legend persists, a testament to humanity's longing to carve beauty from the desert and to the stories we nurture when the stones fall silent. Etched into thousands of seals, pottery shards, and amulets across the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, the symbols of the Indus Valley script taunt us with their silence. Dating back over 4,000 years, this intricate writing system comprising over 400 distinct signs, from fish-like curves to ladder-like strokes, remains one of archaeology's most stubborn puzzles. Unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, which were cracked using bilingual inscriptions like the Rosetta Stone, the Indus script guards its secrets with relentless efficiency. No translation key has ever been found, no lengthy texts survive, and the language behind it vanished without a trace, leaving modern scholars to grapple with a fundamental question. Are we staring at profound poetry, mundane tax records, or something entirely unexpected? The core challenge lies in the script's brevity. Most inscriptions are shockingly short, averaging just 5 characters, with the longest topping out at 26. This scarcity of material makes statistical analysis agonizingly difficult. Imagine trying to decode English from nothing but a handful of street signs and graffiti. Compounding the mystery is the script's linguistic isolation. While neighboring Mesopotamia and Egypt left behind linguistic relatives to help decipher their texts, the Indus Valley's language family remains hotly debated. Some argue for links to early Dravidian tongues still spoken in southern India, while others propose connections to the long-lost Paramunda languages or even a unique isolate with no modern descendants. Without this linguistic anchor, every attempted decipherment floats in speculation. Enter modern technology. In recent decades, computational linguists have attacked the problem with algorithms designed to detect patterns invisible to the human eye. One breakthrough study in 2019 used machine learning to confirm the script likely encodes a spoken language, not just pictograms or symbols based on the way characters cluster and repeat. Other researchers have mapped the script's evolution, showing how early, elaborate symbols streamlined over centuries into more abstract forms, much like modern alphabets. Yet even with these tools, progress is glacial. The script's resistance to frequency analysis, a technique that cracked codes like the Zodiac Killer's ciphers, suggests it might mix logographic and syllabic elements, a fiendish hybrid that could take generations to untangle. What makes this enigma so electrifying isn't just the technical hurdles, it's what decoding it could reveal. The Indus Valley civilization was a marvel of urban planning with grid cities, advanced drainage, and standardized weights. But without written records, we're left guessing at their laws, myths, and daily lives. Are those seals depicting gods or merchants? Do those repeating signs near grain stores track harvests or prayers for abundance? The script's holdout is more than academic. It's a cultural curtain separating us from one of humanity's first experiments in civilization. Perhaps the answer lies in the unexcavated ruins beneath Pakistan's floodplains or in an overlooked artifact gathering dust in a museum vault. Or perhaps, like the people who carved these cryptic signs, the truth has simply retreated into the shadows, waiting for the right mind or machine to coax it back into the light. Until then, every stroke on those ancient seals remains a locked door, and behind it, an entire world we've yet to hear speak. For over 200 years, a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia has lured treasure hunters into a labyrinth of tunnels, cryptic inscriptions, and tantalizing clues, all centered around a single waterlogged hole known as the Oak Island Money Pit. The legend began in 1795 when a teenager named Daniel Maginnis spotted strange lights on the island and discovered a circular depression in the ground, its edges lined with weathered pickaxe marks. Digging down, he hit layers of oak logs every 10 feet, evidence of deliberate, layered construction before floodwaters rushed in, forcing him to abandon the effort. This single discovery ignited a treasure hunt that's consumed fortunes and lives ever since, its mystery only deepening with each passing century. What makes the money pit so infuriating is the precision of its defenses. Early excavators uncovered layers of coconut fiber, a material foreign to Nova Scotia, suggesting origins tied to tropical pirates or naval engineers. At 90 feet, they hit a stone slab inscribed with cryptic symbols, later translated to read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. Then came the real horror, tunnels designed to flood the pit with seawater, a booby trap so effective that modern pumps still struggle to outpace it. 6 people have died pursuing the pit's secrets, including 4 who suffocated in a shaft collapse in 1965, cementing its curse-like reputation. Theories about what lies at the bottom read like a historical thriller. Some believe it's the lost treasure of Captain Kidd, who allegedly confessed on the gallows to burying wealth, where none but Satan and myself can find it. Others argue for Shakespeare's missing manuscripts smuggled out of England by Baconian loyalists. Then there's the Templar connection. Medieval coins and a triangular stone resembling Templar markers have fueled speculation that the pit holds the Holy Grail or Ark of the Covenant, hidden by knights fleeing persecution. Even wilder ideas suggest it's a natural sinkhole enhanced by human hands. Its traps merely porous bedrock reacting to excavation. Modern technology has only intensified the hunt. In 2016, the History Channel's The Curse of Oak Island revealed sonar scans showing a massive metal anomaly, possibly a chest, at the bottom of the so-called hatch. Subsequent drilling pulled up strands of human hair, coconut fibers, and bits of parchment, while ground-penetrating radar mapped a sprawling tunnel system beneath the island. Yet every step forward comes with setbacks. Boreholes strike voids or metal, only to collapse before cameras can descend. Flooding remains unstoppable, as if the pit itself resists revelation. The enduring allure of Oak Island isn't just about gold or relics, it's about the human obsession with unsolved riddles. Whether the pit holds pirate plunder, sacred artifacts, or nothing at all, its true treasure might be the way it mirrors our own relentless drive to uncover what's hidden, no matter the cost. Until someone finally reaches the bottom, this muddy hole in the ground will keep its secrets, whispering promises of riches just out of reach. Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, beneath the turquoise waves of the East China Sea, lies a structure so baffling it blurs the line between geology and archaeology. Discovered in 1986 by a local diver, the Yonaguni Monument rises from the ocean floor like a submerged temple, a series of massive stone terraces, sharp right angles, and stair-like formations stretching over 160 feet long and 80 feet wide. At first glance, it looks unmistakably man-made. Flat platforms stacked like a ziggurat, straight walls meeting at perfect 90-degree corners, even what appear to be carved pillars and a towering monolith resembling a face. But here's where the mystery deepens. Geologists argue these formations could be the work of nature alone, shaped by tectonic activity and relentless ocean currents over millennia. So who or what built Yonaguni? Marine geologist Masaki Kimura has spent decades studying the site, convinced it's the remnant of an ancient civilization swallowed by rising seas around 2,000 years ago. He points to features that defy natural explanation: twin megaliths resembling a pair of standing stones, a relief carving that looks like a beast's head, and a looping channel too symmetrical to be random erosion. Kimura even claims to have identified quarry marks and tool grooves, along with underwater roads connecting the monument to nearby formations. His theory: this could be part of the lost continent of Mu, a Pacific counterpart to Atlantis mentioned in 19th century speculation. But skeptics like Robert Schoch, the geologist famous for redating the Sphinx, counter that Yonaguni's architecture is textbook sandstone fracturing. The same forces that created the island's dramatic cliffs above water, he argues, could have produced these angular formations below, just as wind carves Utah's slot canyons or waves sculpt Malta's azure window. Diving into the debate requires navigating turbulent academic waters. Proponents of the artificial theory highlight the monument's location on a submerged landmass that was above sea level during the last ice age, suggesting human hands could have shaped it when the area was dry. They also note similarities to known man-made structures like Okinawa's Gusuku Castle ruins with their terraced stonework, yet critics fire back with comparisons to natural stepped formations like Ireland's Giant's Causeway or Japan's own Takachiho Gorge, where water and time have carved eerily geometric shapes. The absence of pottery, tools, or other artifacts at the site weakens the human origin argument, though Kimura's team claims to have found stone tools and a clay tablet nearby, findings mainstream archaeology dismisses as inconclusive. What makes Yonaguni uniquely tantalizing is how it plays with perception. Spend 5 minutes swimming through its corridors and you'll swear you're exploring a drowned city. The human brain is wired to see patterns, a phenomenon called pareidolia, which explains why we spot faces in clouds or animals in rock formations. But does that mean Yonaguni is just a cosmic Rorschach test? Modern technology could hold the answer. High-resolution 3D mapping in 2021 revealed new details about the monument's geometry, while chemical analysis of the stone might one day detect telltale tool marks invisible to the naked eye. Until then, the site remains a Rorschach blot of history, reflecting back whatever theory you bring to it, a masterpiece of nature, a relic of forgotten builders, or something in between. Perhaps the most compelling clue lies not in the stones themselves, but in the stories of the local Ryukyu people. Oral traditions speak of a great flood that swallowed coastal cities, a catastrophe echoed in myths across the Pacific. Could Yonaguni be a physical anchor for these legends, a place where geology and collective memory collide? Whether natural or man-made, one thing's certain. This underwater enigma forces us to reconsider how much of humanity's past might be hidden beneath the waves, and how easily the sea can erase the line between what's possible and what's merely imagined. The legend of the crystal skulls reads like something straight out of an Indiana Jones movie. Glowing quartz artifacts, allegedly carved by ancient Mesoamerican civilizations, said to hold mystical powers or even alien knowledge. For over a century, these eerie, translucent carvings captivated collectors and archaeologists alike, with the most famous, the Mitchell-Hedges skull, claimed to be a relic of the Lost City of Atlantis. But in reality, these enigmatic objects were far more modern than mystical, debunked as elaborate hoaxes crafted in 19th century Europe. Yet despite the revelations, their allure refuses to fade, haunting pop culture and conspiracy theories alike. So how did these fakes become so iconic, and why do they still grip our imagination? The story begins in the late 1800s when a wave of fake antiquities flooded European markets, capitalizing on Western fascination with the exotic civilizations of the Americas. Skulls carved from clear or milky quartz began appearing, allegedly unearthed in Mayan or Aztec ruins. The most notorious, the Mitchell-Hedges skull, was supposedly discovered in 1924 by adventurer F. A. Mitchell-Hedges during an expedition in Belize. With its uncanny, lifelike detail and detachable jawbone, it was hailed as a masterpiece of pre-Columbian craftsmanship until science intervened. Microscopic analysis in the 2000s revealed telltale marks of rotary tools, a technology unavailable to ancient Mesoamerican artisans. The quartz itself, traced to Alpine or Brazilian mines, further shattered the myth. Even the discovery narrative unraveled. Mitchell-Hedges' own daughter later admitted he'd likely purchased the skull at a London auction. But if the skulls were frauds, why did they resonate so deeply? Part of the answer lies in their timing. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were a golden age of pseudo-archaeology, where explorers like Heinrich Schliemann chased Homeric legends and spiritualism blurred the lines between science and superstition. Crystal skulls tapped into this zeitgeist, offering physical proof of lost wisdom or supernatural forces. Their smooth, futuristic aesthetic also aligned with early sci-fi tropes, inspiring claims they were data storage devices from Atlantis or extraterrestrial artifacts, theories that persist in UFO circles today. Pop culture cemented their legend. From Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull to the X-Files, these objects became shorthand for ancient mysteries and hidden truths, their glossy surfaces reflecting our own thirst for the unexplained. Even after their debunking, their symbolic power endures. Museums like the Smithsonian and the British Museum keep them on display not as archaeological finds, but as cultural artifacts, testaments to how easily fact and fantasy can intertwine. Perhaps the real magic of the crystal skulls lies not in their origins, but in what they reveal about us. They're mirrors of our longing for connection to a romanticized past, for artifacts that bridge the gap between the known and the unknowable. And in that sense, they're every bit as fascinating as the myths they spawned, not because they're ancient, but because they remind us how desperately we want them to be. From the sunken cities whispered about in Plato's dialogues to the eerie precision of the Nazca Lines, these 25 ancient mysteries are more than just unsolved puzzles. They're humbling reminders of how much we still don't know about our own past. Think about it, even with satellites scanning every inch of the planet and supercomputers crunching millennia of data, history remains full of gaps wide enough to swallow entire civilizations. The Antikythera Mechanism taunts us with its gears, proving ancient Greeks might have grasped celestial mechanics we thought were beyond them. The Tarim mummies, with their European features buried in Chinese sands, rewrite migration maps we assumed were set in stone. And the Plain of Jars, those silent stone sentinels in Laos, refuse to tell us whether they held bones, wine, or secrets we haven't even considered. What ties these enigmas together isn't just their age, it's the way they expose the limits of our understanding. For every Rosetta Stone that unlocks a language, there's a Voynich Manuscript laughing at our best codebreakers. For every tomb we unearth, there's a great pyramid void hiding in plain sight. These mysteries aren't failures of archaeology, they're invitations, proof that history isn't a closed book but a living conversation, where every discovery leads to 3 new questions. So what's your take? Did the crystal skulls ever hold lost Atlantean knowledge, or were they just clever fakes that outlived their creators? Could the Hanging Gardens have bloomed not in Babylon but in Nineveh's forgotten soil? Drop your favorite theories in the comments. We'd love to hear which enigma keeps you up at night. And if you're hungry for more deep dives into the shadows of history, hit that subscribe button. The past has plenty of secrets left to spill, and we're just getting started.